It's not a stepping out of the human experience. It's we can be zero distance in our humanity, because we know that there is this that is always safe, is totally unchanging. To feel like we need to know can feel wobbly. You're listening to the Fundamentally You podcast. My name is Amy Ward, non-dual psychologist, therapist and mentor at thegreenlighttolive.com. In this episode, I share with you a talk from our non-duality Zoom group where we explore together the nature of experience and the self. This exploration was entitled The Safety in Radical Freedom and the Fullness of Love. If you would like to join us in the free Zoom group, it takes place every Tuesday at 7 p.m. UK time. Just go to my website at www.thegreenlighttolive.com and subscribe to my email list to receive the links. This seeing it's not a perspective, it's not a power paradigm. It's beyond paradigm, it's beyond perspective, what we might call the viewless view. So it's no way, and this is the freedom, and it's also always, so no wrong way. And stunningly room for all ways, for all appearances. And although it's this that is here is totally beyond any interpretation, interpretation's welcome. There's room for it. It's part of the display when it appears. There's something here. It isn't, it isn't a something, but it's not nothing either. Because we speak in nothing and something, nothing and everything. But really, these are just the ways for the mind to try to, or words to try to point to this. But this here that's experiencing, this here that's knowing experience right now, the knowing that is here, that is shared through all of us. Although the experiencing is showing up in myriad ways, which is different for all of us. This that is experiencing, this that knows experiencing, is totally unaffected by all the ways. And this is its freedom. And it's a incredibly radical freedom that can be to the thinking mind absolutely terrifying. absolutely terrifying how incredibly wide open this is. Here, right now, I'm not talking about something else. I'm not talking about somewhere else. I'm not talking about some other experience. I'm talking about this. So the mind innocently, in its innocence, in no sense, in innocence, pure sensing, knowing, has this freedom. In its innocence, creates structures and boundaries and limitations through thought. To create some sense of ground in this groundlessness. Because it's coming from, let's say, the core or the original energetic contraction, the me in the body idea. It comes from separation. It comes from somethingness, thingness. So although there's this sensing of this absolute freedom, within this contraction, this core sense of separation, there is an incredible need for safety. It's like an original misconception of this. And when I say misconception, I'm being very specific to exploring the nature of experience. It's not wrong. But the misconception is that this freedom, this wide openness is not safe. So there is a kind of conflict of qualities of this for that contraction, that core contraction. And maybe just, if you feel open to, just explore gently, effortlessly in your experience where that sense is for you, that sense I am within the body experience. Just with a gentleness and openness and welcomeness. So the conflict is that safety and freedom cannot be together. And this happens very, very young. And it's a message that is received from very, very young. It comes with the rules of how to be a good person, how to do well. Because of this belief that this freedom is not safe unless we create rules about why or how we can be safe within it. So out of this beautiful freedom that is here as this emptiness, something that says that this is not safe. We are separate. And so there is the fullness of this is also not experienced. And the fullness, because we can speak about emptiness and there can be, a lot of practices and seeking that is kind of, looking for the void. And that can be an experience that apparently happens, of going to the void as if it's somewhere else. But the actuality is that this is the void. This is the emptiness. This is the transcendence right here. But it's always showing up full. Always showing up full with everything included. And this full inclusion is the fullness of love. It's a yes to everything. So we could say that this journey, this exploration into direct experience, the immediacy of this and the fullness of this, from the position of the mind, for that sense of pushing and pulling and splitting this up, trying to control and trying to understand. It's about learning that it's safe to be here. And being here means to not know. Because as long as we think we know what this is, this. And so we tell it what it is. Then we we can't see it. We can't let it reveal itself to us. I don't know if any of you know Peter Brown, spiritual teacher, Peter Brown. He's one of my favourites. And one of the things that he talks about is that all we need to do is, really open and pay attention to this, recognize, that we really don't know. And it does the heavy lifting. It really does. Because it's not to. The very curiosity that says, what is this? What's going on here? What's happening? When really felt with sincerity and open to with its sincerity, is exactly the same intelligence that it's trying to see, because it's one intelligence, hyper intelligence, that's creating all of this effortlessly. And this is the fullness. So if you notice right now, this is all just here. If you let thought do its thing, just let it say what it's saying. And notice that it's not making a difference to this for a start. So I'm looking around and, thought might be saying, oh, there's a microphone, there's a basket. It has all of these names for all of these shapes and all of these patterns that are here, and that are appearing in sight and in sound and in taste and in touch. It's not whether the labeling is there or not, it's not making a difference to what it is. So it's not a problem, but it's also not it. It's arising from this, whatever this is. It's not the conclusion. So I'm noticing, and it's a feeling into very gentle, soft, open feeling into just noticing that this is all just effortlessly here. You're not making any of it happen. You don't need to do anything for any of this to be here. It's just all here. And it's always been like that. We have ideas, stories about what's here. The guitar got in the room because my dad made me get it out of the shed. Here's a story. You guys are all here because I sent an email out and you all arrived. There's truth in it, there's relative truth. But the fact, the immediacy, the dynamism of the moment, this is all just here. And this appears here and is registered here, first of all, in awareness, before it filters through into the mind and the conceptualizing and the commenting. And this awareness that this registers in is registering it effortlessly, knowing it immediately and allowing it to pass through. Now, where it can start to feel tricky is we say, okay, so yeah, it's all arising effortlessly, but I'm lifting my own hand, or, I'm choosing to walk, or I'm choosing to go here, or I'm choosing to go there. But where is that coming from? Because in mind, when we're viewing through the lens of mind, and the belief in separation, the idea that mind arises in the body rather than the body arising in mind, from that perspective, our freedom is in choosing a personal will, decisions that we're making ourselves. A lot of that arising out of maybe the fact that this can appears to like walk around by itself, free on our little legs. But when we really look into experience and we feel into explore this idea of choice and also feel where the sense of intention to move is coming from. You recognize this as also a sense that's effortlessly appearing in awareness. Arising from the same placeless place as all else that's arising. And this is the freedom. One arising one spontaneous arising that's never becoming anything. It's never, this is constantly itself whilst constantly changing. In the moment that it's one configuration, it's already gone and moved on to a new configuration of the fullness of itself. And the fullness is really obvious. You know, even if you look at your room right now, or you can use the screen if you prefer. But regardless of what comes in and out of the room, apparently, it's always still full of experience. It's totally allowing of change. It's totally open to all change. But it's always full. The experience, your field of experience, is always full. If you feel into just experiencing, not what's happening in experience, but just experiencing your experience, and really look into it yourself. You don't need to look hard. This isn't a finding. This is an opening and a noticing. Looking into your field of experience. Can you ever say that a bit of your experience was missing? My full field of experience. Oh no, I lost a bit. Where did it go? We never lose any of our experience. No matter what happens in experience, or what appears to happen in experience, which is the movement of mind and the dance of interpretation. It's still full of experience. And this which is experiencing experience, this seeing of experience, is always totally unaffected by what's happening. So this is the freedom, the absolute freedom of this which is totally untouched by all that is appearing, and yet openly in its freedom and its expression of itself as this freedom allows all appearances. And this is love. This is the full inclusion. Then we come into our experience of the world, and suffering is undeniable. And this exploration is not denying that suffering is happening. The pain and the suffering that goes on and that we experience is an expression of this freedom, and that can be so difficult for the mind. This sense of separation, this contraction, so difficult to understand that it can't understand it. The mind cannot conceive of the true nature of experience. That's the bother we get into, apparently. But it's all experiencing itself in all of these myriad ways, these myriad configurations. And there's an incredible compassion. In my experience, how I experience this is like it's a quality here that is here for the experience of separation, the experience of suffering, in its freedom. And that means that it doesn't negate experience. That means that it doesn't push anything away. It's an absolute okayness that arises with the absolute freedom and the fullness of love of this. It's totally inherent to it, and really, 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 really intelligent. It knows the how to in healing as wholeness. It knows where to go energetically. It knows exactly what it's doing, while simultaneously being the freedom of it. It's not trying to change anything. But the thinking mind, the sense of being people in the world that are separate from each other, it doesn't know this compassion. You do, you are it. Definitely not saying that you don't know it. But the sense of the person that's trying to be compassionate sometimes. It doesn't know that this compassion's here. Just in the same way as it doesn't know that this freedom is also absolute safety, rock solid reality. Full. And this compassion knows the when as well, which is always now. Now, now, now. But it does it from a place of detachment that is from the freedom that it is. And the fear and anger that we can experience in our humanity, which can be concealed through judgment, for instance, the judging mind, concealing the sense of fear and anger. It's just the compassion that's forgot itself. Compassion in its particleness or its sense of separation. It's forgotten that it's what it's made of, you know. And this can create a real sense of, morality, being a good person. And to be a good person, there's got to be some bad people. Otherwise, I don't exist as a good person. There's got to be bad out there. So there's got to be splitting and there's got to be judgment. So what starts as compassion contracts when we're very, very young. And over time builds into this fear and anger. And this is why we can't really get away with not feeling that, not noticing that, not letting that do its thing, as part of this experiencing with incredible trust that compassion, safety, and freedom can all be together as one without getting in the way of each other. So when we explore suffering, for instance, what we might name suffering, from this understanding, from this freedom, this safety, this compassion that's always here, totally unaffected by the contractions of it, which is really important. If there's a sense of a contracted quality, let's say, if there's a sense of I'm stuck or I'm imprisoned in some kind of way, whether it's in my body or in the mind or in a prison cell, we know that that is freedom. It's just freedom that's forgotten itself. It's concealed freedom. It's freedom that is dressed up through conceiving as that which it's not. And that's how free this is. This is so free that it's free to forget that it is this, that it is the freedom. Now that's just bonkers to the mind. But when we openly, energetically take this to the experience of suffering and what we might conventionally name therapy or healing, we don't get free from suffering. We don't try to get rid of suffering. We recognize that we are the freedom within it. And that radically changes our experience of being alive in this physicality. It recognizes the freedom within this physicality. So this freedom is unconditioned. The mind will try to choose where it's going to get its little bit of freedom while it keeps all things, other things, in line so it's safe. But this can be the all or nothing of the qualities as well. If one is not free, all is not free. While simultaneously, all is always freedom itself. And that's what the love is. Yeah. That it's this, it's here, it's this is it. This is the newness and the freshness and the okayness. It's the end of the seeking and the striving and the trying. Keep coming back to this simplicity of this. It's this, you know, just this is really, really, really simple. Thank you for being here.